Hello. In today's topic, we are going to talk about Subnet. Now, if you haven't seen my previous videos on VPC and IP addresses, I request you to watch the video before watching this. That will give you a basic understanding and overview of what is VPC and what is IP addresses. So that will lay a strong foundation for you to understand this video. Now, for them who has watched my previous videos and you have a clear understanding of what is VPC and how are IP address treated, let us talk about subnets in detail. Now, subnets, as we discussed earlier, it's a small subnetwork of your entire VPC. Your VPC being your bigger network, you're dividing the bigger network into smaller chunks and you're assigning a private IP, a range of private IPs to each of those subnets. Now, these subnets are associated in different availability zones and you can mark these subnets as two different things. You can classify them as private subnet or the public subnet. Let us say, for example, I have a VPC in my region, and in that VPC, I have a IP address of the range 10.0.0./16, which means that the first two octets are fixed and it can't be changed, and the remaining two octets can be changed. With this IP range, you can say that you can create 65,536 different ranges of IP address within this VPC. Now, I have two different availability zones, and within these availability zones, I will be creating my subnets. Now, let us first try to do some calculation. Now, assume I have the VPC of range 10.0.0.0/16. So, what could be the range of IP address I can assign to my subnet? Let us first try to understand whether this IP address 10.0.2.0/24. Now, can you tell me whether this IP address falls within the range of this IP address above? Well, if you actually look at it, what does 10.0.0.0/16 mean? If you have seen our previous video on IP address, /16 means the first two octets remains to the host. So the first two octets, that is 10.0, remains fixed, and the last two octets 0.0 can change, right? So if you look at our below IP address which we are assigning to the subnet, let's assume this is the one of the IP address range I'm assigning to the subnet. So this clearly falls within the range because the first two octet 10.0 is the same. We are not changing it, but we are changing the last two octets, which is 2.0. So this very much falls within the range of our main range of IP address. So let me see, this is the IP address which I'm assigning to my VPC. So when I'm creating a subnet, I need to set a range of IP address for the subnet. So I need to set a range within this range. So this is my parent and this is my child. So in this /24, what I'm saying is 10.0.2, the first three octets will not change because I'm giving /24. So each octet is 8 bits. So the first three, that is 10.0.2, is fixed and the last octet can vary, right? So similarly, we can assign different range of octets. Say for example, for my first subnet, I'm giving this range. For my second subnet, I can come up with a range like 10.0.1.0/24. This also falls within the range of the first VPC. This is very much within this range. And I can also come up with my third range, which is like 10.0. I can say something like 20.0 or /1/24. So I can create different ranges of IP address and assign it to each subnet, and any instances or database or EC2 instance which I create within the subnet will have the range of IP address. Now let us say how many IP address I can create in this particular range. So since I have /24, I can create IP address. How many IP address can I have? So I can have at least 256 range different types of IP addresses, right? So similarly, you can see how many instances you can add, and you can create that many different types of private IP addresses. Now let us go back to our slide. Now you have two availability zones, and we will be creating our subnets inside each of these availability zones. Now let us say I'm creating my public subnet in the first availability zone, and if you see the range, I'm creating in the range of 10.0.1.0/24. This falls within this range of IP address. Similarly, I'm creating another subnet, and I'm assigning the IP address of 10.0.2.0/24. So these two IP address falls within the range of IP address which has been assigned to the VPC. Similarly, I have another availability zone, and there I would choose to host my private subnet. So private subnet, I will give a range of IP address which is a little different. Here it will start with 10.0.20.0/24. The first three octets will be constant, and the last octet will be will vary, and it will be assigned to the each instances which I create within the private subnet. So this is how the private and public subnet works. Now, what kind of resources will I host in a public subnet? Any resource which is not exposed to the outside world is generally hosted in the private subnet, right? Because they generally work on the private IP. So, what kind of application does not require to talk to the outside world? Mainly your database, your application server. So these does not require to be exposed to the outside world. And if you talk about the public subnet, generally a web server, your web application, which requires to be exposed to the outside world through internet gateway. So these kind of applications will be hosted in the public subnet. So they will be exposed to the outside world through the internet gateway, where they will be communicating to the outside world. You can access these web servers through your browser or internet, or any stuffs like that, right? So this is what is subnet for you. So we have discussed what is subnet and how the IP address has been assigned to each subnet. What are the different types of subnets, the private and the public? So I hope you have a fairly clear understanding of how subnet works in VPC. So in our next video we will be talking about some other components of VPC. Thank you so much. Goodbye.